Picture a world where invisible puppet strings hang from every wrist, and someone may already be pulling yours. Every single day, quiet, almost imperceptible forces tug at our emotions and steer our decisions. A coworker's subtle compliment nudges you to take on extra work. A partner's cold silence leaves you scrambling to fix what you supposedly did wrong. In the quiet theater of ordinary life, manipulation operates in plain sight. You may think, "I'm too aware for that. I'd know if someone was controlling me." But have you ever agreed to something just to avoid guilt? Or stayed silent because you were afraid of upsetting someone? Those tiny internal sacrifices, those quiet hesitations, are signs that someone else might be influencing your thoughts. None of us are immune. Most manipulation isn't loud or obvious. It's invisible. It's psychological. In this video, we're going to expose the anatomy of manipulation. From the emotional tactics of guilt, fear, and charm, to what Machiavelli, the master of human behavior, understood centuries ago. But this isn't just a warning. It's a blueprint for resistance, a roadmap for regaining your mental sovereignty. This won't be easy, but it will set you free. And by the end, you'll know how to spot the hidden strings and cut them for good. Emotional puppeteers, the tools of guilt, fear, and charm. Manipulators don't need to shout or coerce. They tug softly at your emotions. They are emotional puppeteers, and the three most common strings they pull are guilt, fear, and charm. Each one can guide your actions without ever needing to raise a voice. Guilt is their silent weapon. Imagine someone sighing, "It's fine. I'll just go alone. Don't worry about me." And suddenly you feel like the villain. You rearrange your plans, not because you want to, but to avoid that heavy feeling in your chest. A skilled manipulator doesn't demand. They simply make you feel bad enough that you choose to comply on your own. Your empathy becomes their tool. Fear is their leash. A manager might remark, "You know how many people would kill for this job," just as you're about to set a boundary. A romantic partner might whisper, "If you ever left me, I don't know what I'd do." These aren't just comments. They're carefully wrapped threats. And once fear gets inside you, it clouds your judgment. Under that pressure, you stop resisting, not because you agree, but because you want the fear to go away. And then comes charm, the sweet, seductive mask. A manipulator showers you with praise and attention. They make you feel seen, valued, wanted. Your guard drops. You begin to trust. And that's when the real game begins. Your no becomes a hesitant maybe, then a full yes. You convince yourself, "They've been so good to me. How could I refuse?" But under the charm is a quiet transaction. Affection in exchange for control. What's more, these tools often work together. A person may play the helpless victim one moment, the intimidator the next, and then turn into the charming savior, switching masks as needed to keep you under control. It's calculated, and it works because they're not pulling at just any part of you. They're aiming for your most vulnerable inner spots. Exposed wounds. Why manipulation finds a way in. All of us have psychological weak points, soft spots hidden deep beneath our behaviors. And whether it's the desire to be accepted, the inability to say no, or the dread of being left behind, these are the open doors manipulators look for. They don't need force when we've already left the door ajar. One of the most exploited wounds is approval seeking. As human beings, we crave belonging. But when that craving becomes desperation, manipulators circle like sharks. At first, they give you exactly what you long for: praise, recognition, affection. You feel good, seen, valued. Then, just when you're hooked, they withdraw it. You start chasing that feeling, doing whatever it takes to bring it back. Your self-worth begins to depend on their approval. And just like that, you're on their string. Another common vulnerability: guilt. If you're compassionate and self-aware, you likely hate to be seen as selfish or ungrateful. Manipulators sense that instantly. They use it to wound you softly. After everything I've done for you. Or, if you really cared, you would. These lines aren't conversations, they're weapons. And once guilt creeps in, you sacrifice your boundaries just to make it stop. Kindness becomes a trap you built yourself. And then there's the deepest cut of all, the fear of abandonment. So many of us carry this from childhood, heartbreaks, or just the universal fear of being alone. A manipulator doesn't need to scream. A well-placed threat, a silent treatment, or a subtle implication of walking away, and panic sets in. You apologize when you're not wrong. You yield when you should stand firm. You stay, not out of love, but out of fear. And with just one pull, they've got you, right where they want you. But let's be clear, these needs, for love, connection, validation, aren't flaws. They're human. Yet when we don't recognize them, they become weaknesses. Weaknesses that a skilled manipulator can exploit with frightening ease. Even Machiavelli understood this long ago, that human nature is predictable, and that those who understand it can control it. And so the question becomes, how do we reclaim our power before someone else takes it from us? Machiavelli's brutal wisdom, the predictable nature of people. Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince is often viewed as a political treatise, but beneath the surface, it's a chilling instruction manual on manipulation. One of his most quoted principles is this: "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Machiavelli observed a truth most don't want to admit, that love is fickle, it fades, it betrays. But fear lingers. A person gripped by fear will obey, even when love dissolves. Today's manipulators understand this on a gut level. They don't rely on loyalty or affection. They inject fear. The fear of making them angry, the fear of being left, the fear of losing something you depend on. Your fear becomes their leverage, and as long as you're afraid they don't need to force anything, you'll do it to yourself. Machiavelli also warned how appearances deceive more easily than reality corrects. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Modern manipulators thrive on this principle. They build a convincing image, the charming partner, the caring friend, the supportive leader, and we want to believe it. Why? Because the truth behind the mask is uncomfortable. We prefer the illusion, and that's what gives it power. As long as the mask is polished, few will question what's underneath. And that's exactly the point. Manipulation survives in the gap between image and reality. At the heart of Machiavelli's philosophy is a cold but accurate insight. People are predictable, and if you understand their weaknesses, you can control them. That's what manipulators do. They study your fears, your hopes, your emotional soft spots, and they act accordingly. But Machiavelli's wisdom isn't only for those who want to control. It's also a warning to those who refuse to see they're being controlled. And if you want to escape the game, you must learn to outthink the players. So how do you defend yourself in a world full of charming threats? How to build emotional immunity, outsmarting manipulators in 5 steps. Escaping manipulation isn't a moment of enlightenment. It's a skill, and like all skills, it needs practice. Think of these 5 steps as your daily mental training, the antibodies that protect your mind. 1. Spot the red flags. Awareness is your first layer of protection. Start noticing how you feel around people. If you regularly feel anxious, guilty, or hesitant around someone, pause and ask, why? Look for subtle cues. If you really cared, you would. After everything I've done for you. These aren't expressions of love. They're psychological pressure points. Name them for what they are. Once you recognize the tactic, its spell begins to break. 2. Know where you're soft. Self-awareness is armor. Ask yourself, am I seeking approval because I never felt enough? Do I struggle to say no because I was raised to always please? Do I fear being alone more than I fear being disrespected? Identifying your emotional blind spots is essential. Manipulators win by surprise, but they can't exploit a wound you've already healed or guarded. 3. Set unshakable boundaries. Your life needs walls that you design, not others. Boundaries are lines drawn in clarity, not anger. Decide your non-negotiables in advance. I won't engage with guilt trips. I will not tolerate threats or emotional blackmail. Expect resistance. Manipulators don't like losing control, but every time you hold your ground, you teach the world how to treat you. 4. Control your reactions. Your emotions are the strings manipulators pull. Cut them. When you're provoked, pause. Don't lash out. Don't rush to explain. Don't immediately comfort. Silence, when intentional, is power. In that pause, ask, is this a real need or an emotional trap? Then choose your response not from fear but from clarity. 5. Feed your inner strength. Manipulators exploit your needs, so meet them yourself. If you need validation, give it to yourself. If you feel lonely, find connection through healthy outlets. If you fear being unloved, remind yourself love is not earned through submission. The stronger your foundation, the harder it is for anyone to shake it. This is not isolation. This is choosing sovereignty. Learning to resist manipulation takes time. Some days you'll slip. You'll fall for the same charm. You'll give in to guilt. That's okay. Notice it. Learn. Move forward. Eventually you'll say no, with peace, not fear. You'll leave a toxic room without apology. And the old strings that used to pull your heart, they'll snap, one by one. But there's one final battlefield. What if the person manipulating you is someone you love? That's where we go next. The hardest goodbye. Escaping the ones you love. It's one thing to recognize manipulation in a colleague or acquaintance, but when the manipulator is someone you love, a partner, a parent, a mentor, the war begins inside you. The heart pulls in one direction, clinging to memories and hope. The mind pulls in another, whispering the painful truth. To break free feels like betrayal, or worse, like cutting off a part of your own soul. This is the most brutal test of your inner strength, because love and manipulation can coexist, often unnoticed. Someone might smother you with affection, only to wound you the next moment. You cling to their good side, thinking, they're not all bad. And that makes it harder. It's like poison in a cup of honey, sweet enough to keep sipping, even as it damages you from the inside. Their warmth, their rare acts of kindness, the shared history, all of it blurs your judgment. But at some point you must confront the core truth. No amount of sweetness can undo the soul erosion they cause. And society doesn't help. It pressures loyalty. Family is sacred. Don't be ungrateful. Be loyal to the people who gave you a chance. But blood doesn't justify abuse. A paycheck doesn't excuse manipulation. You have every right to draw a boundary with a toxic parent or to walk away from a workplace that's slowly breaking you. Yes, guilt will creep in, that's expected. But your mental health isn't up for negotiation. No one is entitled to your peace of mind, no matter their title or role in your life. In romantic relationships, leaving can feel like dying while still alive, especially when there's a cycle: hurt, apology, affection, repeat. You hold out for change. You convince yourself, maybe this time it'll be different. But deep down, you know it won't. Not while the cycle serves them. To escape, you must grieve not just the person, but the future you imagined with them. But beyond that, grief is a different kind of air. Clear, breathable, your own. And when you finally walk away, expect resistance. The final act is often the loudest. How could you do this after all I've done for you? You're selfish. You're throwing everything away. They'll play the victim, cast you as the villain. It's their last desperate grip. Don't let it hold. You owe them nothing, especially not your suffering. Their emotions are theirs to manage. Your life is yours to protect. Yes, leaving someone you love can break your heart. You'll face loneliness, doubt, even shame. But with every day outside their control, your mind clears, your soul heals. You start to reclaim parts of yourself you buried just to keep the peace. In the end, you might lose the relationship, or the illusion of it. But what you gain is worth infinitely more. Freedom, self-respect, and the chance to build something real.